Hey, what's up, FCA family? It's your boy, Pastor Mike, back with another FCA Recap. Hey, if you missed this past Wednesday message, I'm here to give you the rundown. And so, guys, do me a favor, open up your Bibles to Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. And I want everybody to remember, we are continuing this series on the Sermon on the Mount. And today's message, I've entitled it, Making the Right Investment. So let's read it. It says, "Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where moth and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be." Guys, I love this because Jesus starts this thing off with not giving us a mere suggestion, but he's given us a command. He says, do not store up for yourself treasures right here on earth. So guys, I want to give you guys 3 very simple reasons why we shouldn't store up treasures right here on earth. Guys, the very first reason why is so simple is because they don't last. They don't last. Guys, in the book of 1 John chapter 2, verse 17, it simply talks about how this world is fading away and everything in it is fading away also. Guys, the things you accumulate on this earth, they don't last, but they simply fade away. Guys, the second reason why we shouldn't store up treasures right here on earth is simply because they don't satisfy either. So not only they don't last, but they don't satisfy. I love this, but when Jesus was talking to the Samaritan woman at the well, Jesus said something to her. Jesus said, hey, guess what? That water right there that you're partaking in, guess what? When you drink that water, eventually you're going to become thirsty again. And Jesus was saying that that water represents the world, right? See, you can drink as much of the world as you want, and you can get full on the world, but eventually you're going to become thirsty again. But I love this, but Jesus says at the end of that the water that I can give you, you'll never thirst again. Guys, remember, guys, regardless of how much you build on this world, it will never satisfy you. Guys, the third reason why we shouldn't build up earthly treasures is simply because you can't take it with you, right? Guys, think about it. When you die, there's not a U-Haul that's going to be waiting at your funeral to say, hey, man, he died, man. Let's make sure he get that PS5 and everything that he got on this earth. Guys, you came into this world with nothing, and you will leave with this world with nothing as well. So just be mindful of that, guys. So Jesus says, don't store up treasures right here on earth, but he actually says store up treasures in heaven, right? So guys, I love this, but in Matthew chapter 25, verse 34, Jesus kind of gives us a glimpse of the end time, right? He says the Son of Man will come in his glory and all his angels will be surrounded around him. And Jesus says, at that time, I'll separate people very similar to how a shepherd separates sheep from goat. He said, there'll be people on my left and there'll be people on my right. But Jesus says this. He says, to the people on my right, I will say this to them. Now listen to this. Matthew 25, verse 34. It says, the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance. I love that. And Jesus goes into this explanation of how did these people obtain this inheritance? How did these people get this access? And he talks about how for when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. Man, when I needed clothes, you put clothes on my back. When I was sick, you came and visited me. And when I was in prison, you took care of me. And he said the righteous would say, Lord, like, when did we see you hungry or thirsty? When did we put clothes on your back? When did we see you sick? And when did we visit you as a prisoner? And Jesus said, I will say to those people, for when you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. Guys, that's how you stack up treasures in heaven. You stack up treasures in heaven by taking care of the people around you, loving the people that surround you. And that's the story of the Good Samaritan, right? The Good Samaritan was about this Samaritan person that seen somebody that was in need. He didn't care what was going on. He stopped what he was doing and he took care of that person. And so I remember the Jewish man, he asked, so who's my neighbor? And the point that Jesus was trying to make was that your neighbor is anyone around you that's in need, even if it's somebody you don't like, even if it's somebody you hate. So guys, my encouragement to you, because it was an encouragement to me, to not focus on building up earthly treasures, but building and stacking treasures up in heaven. And we do that by loving and taking care of the people around us. Guys, God bless, enjoy. I hope this message bless you. Peace out.